You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mix with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I, unfortunately, will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary of Rod Pace and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium and discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and I've ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Red Whine. We led with that tonight because I think it's important to remember exactly what this day is about, since it's been 18 years now, and I think some people or we have a whole generation almost that is kind of forgotten. So Diane and I and Lou welcome you guys here tonight, and we are going to talk about where we were when 9/11 happened.
Right.
Diane, where were you?
I was driving down Route 3 in Nashua, New Hampshire on my way to work, where I worked with my husband. I heard it on the radio. I think they didn't seem as much on the radio when the first plane crashed, but when the second plane crashed, you could hear the fear in their voices. What's going on? What's going on? I was sick to my stomach. I got to the office. My first reaction was, my kids are back 50 miles away from me. What do I do? So I called the elementary school because my oldest at that point was in 7th grade. And they said, the kids are aware of what's going on, but we want them to have as much of a normal day as they can possibly have. And then I called the preschool where my youngest was, and they're like, they don't know anything about it. We're just going to have a regular day. Just, don't panic. And then an hour later is when the plane hit the Pentagon, which that was just horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Oh my God!
Shocked for the entire day. It was just shocking. And I think the one thing that got me the most was my oldest, who was in 7th grade. She just, and her and a lot of her friends, they just never really reacted to it. It didn't really, sink in as much as it did for us as parents. Younger kids were having nightmares. It just seems as though that particular age group, it didn't really affect them as much. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Yeah. I just remember I was asleep because I'm on, the opposite coast here. And my mom woke me up after the first plane hit. She said, wake up, turn on your TV. And my husband was out of town because he always traveled with work. He was actually in Napa. And so I woke up, I turned on the TV, and as my mom and I were watching it, both in different states, watching at the same time, the second plane hit. So, and I remember that. It was a scary feeling. And I'll have you guys know, Buckley Air Force Base isn't close to us, but we happen to be, there's a flight pattern that goes over us. DIA also flies over us. After that attack, I don't think people realize how quiet it was in the air. And all of a sudden you would hear these jets flying, and it would give you chills because you knew the only thing in the sky was the military. And, we'd go from hearing planes all the time. It's just in our daily life, I can look up in the sky constantly and I see Southwest, Delta, United. And it was just so weird. There were nothing except for fighter jets and these huge, big cargo planes. So many memories. Lou, you said you have an interesting story.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about whether I was going to actually tell it or not.
Well, if you don't want to share, you don't have to.
I'm going to give the abridged version. So, I'll work it into where I was. So I was at work, and someone in the office said a plane just hit the World Trade Center, and I said terrorist attack, and they said might have been an accident. I said if it was a helicopter, but not if it was a plane, highly regulated, and probably not going to happen. And if, I guess, what was it, 15 minutes later, they said another plane. I said, terrorist attack. You should have believed me the first time. And then I spent about 20 minutes on the phone arguing with my husband, ex, about where my sister-in-law was. And he said, she doesn't work there anymore. I said, yes, she does. No, she left. No, she's back. She doesn't work down there anymore. Yes, she does. Well, she did. She happened to not be at work that day. But we spent 2 days trying to get in touch with my mother-in-law and couldn't because, we were in Raleigh and they were in New York, New Jersey, and getting through was just impossible. But I went home and the first words out of my mouth were, I told you so. We'd been in the airport exactly 11 days prior. And I had come within about 15 minutes of not getting on the plane. Keep in mind that I'm a few months out of my international relations.
Okay. Can I just interrupt you quickly, Lou?
Yeah.
Not that I want to interrupt this story, but they are saying in the chat room that they're having a hard time hearing you because of the echoing.
It's not echoing. It's not echoing. It's me monitoring. Can you hear me better now?
Let me ask them. Well, you sounded fine to me the entire time.
Yeah, I might have needed to push a button. Okay. So,
all right. So
hopefully you can hear me better now. Let me know if I'm still echoing. So, the first words out of my mouth were, "I told you so." And so I had come within 15 minutes of not getting on a plane to Atlanta because of 3 guys that were in the airport. And I was watching them hard enough at some point that I was reading one of Scalia's books, and I had it up in front of my face, and I was trying to look at them over, right? So I had just written, I don't know, I'd been in college for the past 3 or 4 years and had written 5, 10, maybe 15 papers on terrorism, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, whatnot. So, and read way too much congressional testimony on the topic. I was watching these guys, and I told my ex-husband, I am not getting on. If they get on our plane, I'm not going anywhere. And he said, then we're not gonna go. I said, that's fine. I'll see my parents next year, which is a huge thing. I didn't get to see my parents that much. So, I mean, once a year probably, because we were both working so much and I was in college. It had been a while. So it was a big thing for me, but I was determined that I was not going to get on the plane. And I'm going to end this story by saying it was them.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. When did you discover it was them?
2 days later 2 or 3 days later when they published the pictures.
Oh my God, Lou. That is astounding.
Well, it was also the team that didn't go. It was the one that didn't fly.
Yeah.
It was the one that didn't fly.
Right.
The ones that are in jail or whatever. And hopefully, God, they're not listening. Okay, in the story right now. I didn't say, but I've carried guilt for this for years because I didn't say anything to anybody. I came really, really close. But then James
nowadays you would be fired. You would be ostracized, and there would be news stories on you because you saw something, you said something, but you were politically incorrect.
Right, exactly. But then James Woods told his story about how he said something and didn't do any good. So.
Right, exactly. You're exactly right. That James Woods story is fascinating as well. So it is, I think, the thing that really bothered me, and I do think that I have done Red Rocks here in Denver does a 9/11 stair walk every year, because if you go around so many times, it mimics how many stairs the firefighters had to do. Firefighters show up from all across the nation, and they wear their full gear, so they are of course weighed down with that weight and the Colorado heat, and they're going up and down these stairs the whole time. You get chills. It's really fascinating. But I think what's happened in the last 18 years, it's become a memorial to first responders. The kids in school are taught about the first responders. They are not taught about terrorism and why it happened. And I think that does a great disservice to all of the people that died. Why did they have to die in the first place? Thank God those first responders, yes, we should honor them. And I think it's awesome that Congress finally voted and they're giving them the money they deserve after all this time. It's insane. But honest to God, if I hadn't taught my daughter that, she's in high school now, she wouldn't know that.
I think it's a twofold situation where you have, over 2,900 innocent people that were just going about their business at their jobs. And then you have, I think it was 400 plus first responders that were doing their jobs and put, literally their lives were taken because They were selfless. So I think you have innocent and you have selfless, is how you would
Yes.
describe the two. And it didn't have to happen. Um, you know, if for example the previous administration to George Bush had done their job and bombed the shit out of that piece of crap, you know, maybe it never would have happened. And I look at knowing that 3 or 4 of the terrorists were in my hometown where I grew up. And to think that they walked on the same grounds that I walked on, that makes me sick. And I'm glad they're dead because I'd probably knock them off myself if I get my hands on them. But the look in every single one of those eyes, when you looked at every single one of those terrorists, every single one of those Islamic radical terrorists, their eyes were dead. They had no look in their eyes. They had no feelings in their eyes. Their eyes were dead. So you know what? I hope their 72 virgins all either look like Rosie O'Donnell or Bette Midler. That ought to serve them right. Bastards.
Well, also, if you guys are on Twitter, you should all visit Ari Fleischer's page. He does an amazing thing every year on the anniversary of 9/11, where since he's been on Twitter, I should say, and he goes through just his entire day, minute by minute, where George Bush was, what happened, through the entire day, and it's just I don't know. I think it's just such an amazing tribute, and I just think everybody needs that reminder.
But when you think of where have we gone, I mean, you look at that group that wanted to build a mosque right near the site of where the World Trade Centers were. And they made the people who were upset about it, look like they were racist. It's
right.
Think about it. This is where 2,900 innocent people died and 400 plus selfless people died at the hands of Islamic terrorists that basically were radicalized somewhat in mosques in the U.S. Why would you want a mosque to mock their lives?
Right. And I think that the problem with the left has, and I really believe this because I've gotten into several conversations, heated sometimes, with my friends. They think for some reason we're all too stupid, I think, to realize you can separate out. Was he Wahhabi? Is that right? Osama bin Laden? Is that right, Lou? That we're able to understand not all Muslims thought like this or think like this. He had a specific radicalization. And for some reason, they think if we go after and say, hey, this is disrespectful or this, we're attacking the entire religion. And I don't understand that thought process. I don't know why they, clearly.
Well, think about it. They stereotype everybody. So of course they're going to stereotype someone, if you're against some, you're against all. That's what they're big on. They broad brush, they stereotype.
Yeah, okay, so here's the interesting thing to me. Let's just contrast and compare the way that Palestine vilifies Israel over things that have happened there, right? Some Israeli did something, right? And think about the way that they were vilified by the Palestinian people. If we, in this country, if Americans, even that 30% or 40%, 60% of the vilification came from this country toward them, what kind of crap we would get for that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's sad. I just wish that in the sake of political correctness, we wouldn't lose when we teach our students why it happened, just the facts, what happened, and this is why we have a 9/11 memorial. This is why we do this. So I don't know. Maybe someday it'll be like World War II and it'll be far enough detached they can talk about the Japanese and not think that we're going to attack every person that's Japanese, So I don't know. It's crazy. Okay. We are moving on to talk about the insane press in the last several weeks alone. We could go back further, but just in the last several weeks, how many news stories have run with one either anonymous source or unvetted source that they've had to come right out again and change by major news people? This is like Dan Rather, the night before the election Bush stuff. Insanity. So just last week on MSNBC, not even on, let me pull up my little thing here. I will tell you the exact day. So on MSNBC,
wasn't it Chris Matthews?
No, it wasn't Chris Matthews. It was Lawrence O'Donnell.
Okay.
Yes, Lawrence O'Donnell was forced to go out the very next day and give a mea culpa because they used one source and did not vet it or make sure it was true, and then they had to come back and say, "Oh, my bad. We wrote a story, or we did a story on Trump and his personal finances, and we are so sorry, but that was," he said, "tonight we are retracting the story. It really wasn't ready for broadcast, and for that I apologize. It wasn't ready for broadcast ever because it was a lie." But the Trump's attorney had to come out and say, "You cannot, this is outrightly false. You have to immediately and prominently retract and apologize for false and defamatory reporting when it came to Trump's finances." Okay, totally false story, ridiculous. What happens? Very next week, they do another story talking about an outed CIA Russian spy and it's all made up. All made up. They did it again. It's only been like less than 2 weeks. Is this crazy?
Think about it. All right, back in high school, which seems like it was only, a couple of years ago, but it was actually 30-something years ago. Anyhow, we learned in Journalism 101 that you got to have your sources. You got to make sure what you're printing is truth, because if not, you could get sued. And yet,
yes,
we have these people that consider themselves journalists, but they're really nothing more than talking heads that will
it's
basically talk to the 1,000 people that might be viewing their show, because God knows nobody else does, and lie. They blatantly lie, but you can see that not only do they blatantly lie, you got idiots that are retweeting stuff. They're, putting the link to the story, even though they know it's false. They continue to put the link to the story, but they don't put the link to the retraction.
You're exactly right. The retraction makes page 14.
Oh, and I've had people say, and I'm like, that story was retracted. Oh, prove it was retracted. Okay, here's the retraction. Oh, that's not legitimate. Okay,
right.
Stating itself, he retracted it. What is not legitimate about it?
Well, and this is a much worse lie than the other one. The other one, O'Donnell said when he came out and told us the story, with the single source story. He said, single source, if true. And even after saying that, he still retracted, right? So, but this was accusing the president of potentially burning a source, an intelligence source. And
oh yeah,
and
we
beyond
have
right, and
we have Buck Sexton. We're going to play that clip because I think they're incredulous. They're like, what in the hell is CNN doing?
He tells it much better than I would. But they said it, and they were adamant about it, and they swore by it, and even after the New York Times said, dude, you got it all wrong, they doubled down on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's play that quick, and then we'll come back to even more examples.
All right.
I agree with my old colleague, Dan. I think he sums it up nicely in that statement. I would just add to it that there's an obvious recklessness from anybody who would be talking about this kind of story that had access or knew anything, if in fact that's what went on here. It certainly seems to be the case. And there's also, I think, a recklessness from journalists to run with this. I mean, they have to, as Americans, as patriots, also make some determinations about what the public needs to know versus what actually does put people in jeopardy, what can be problematic from a national security perspective. And while legally they tend not to fall into the same consequences as those with access to the information, that doesn't mean that ethically they can just report on whatever they want. And in this case, it's quite clear that it was just meant to get Trump. The story here really isn't about the whole operation or exfiltration, whether it's true or not, although the agency's already come out, which is rare, and said this is just BS. This is not true. But this was all meant to be a weapon against Donald Trump. And that's why I think some of the other barriers, both from people allegedly inside the intelligence community who talked about this, and some of the journalists here who ran with a half-baked, if not entirely untrue story, because we're in the get Trump era, all of the rules all of a sudden don't apply the same way. And that's what I think happened with this story.
I completely agree. I completely agree with him 100%. This story was simply to get Trump.
Most of the stories they have out there, though, is to get Trump. They're always looking for the big aha moment. It doesn't stick. And it's usually debunked. Yet all people hear on the left is what the original story is. So how do you keep combating that?
It's you know what's crazy though is what if somebody gets killed because of this? Because we know what Putin can do. What if somebody actually ends up dead because of CNN wanting to get Trump?
Well, that was supposed to be the story about Trump. The sheer volume of get Trump stories, I think, is what kills me.
Oh, it's insane. Okay, so Brian Stelter comes out.
That was a hoot.
This one is hilarious. This one is absolutely hilarious because he tweets as though it's a gotcha. Like, oh, well, I'm going to, get them. He says, Trump just said there are people in line for his rally, and they are, in quotes, soaking wet. Per CNN's Betsy Klein, it is 88 degrees and sunny here in Fayetteville. It has not rained here today. That sounds like who gives a crap?
The heat index.
That was a misspeaking.
The heat index was like 95 or 96 or something like that.
Exactly. Everyone else that doesn't have Trump derangement syndrome knew what that meant.
Let me tell you something. When I was at the rally in New Hampshire, I was dying in the sun. It was so hot. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like dying. My whole face came right off.
Imagine being in Fayetteville. Fayetteville in the Sandhills in North Carolina. No wind. It's hot.
Oh, he got completely trolled by that comment. He was just like left and right. But it's about as bad as the fact that Trump brought up Alabama and the hurricane. And finally you have Cheryl Atkinson coming out saying, okay, guys, I get you hate Trump, but are you kidding me? We have video footage of the Weather Channel and different places talking about the hurricane in Alabama before this happened. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, let's talk about what happened tonight, how he made the comment about how Melania they're discussing the vaping issue. And he basically made the comment about, she has her son, so she cares a lot. And they're like, well, that was an odd way. Is he saying that that's not his son? It's like, oh my God, shut up.
I know. They hate him so much. Every word he says, Obama can say that he's Muslim. Remember when he said that versus saying he made a mistake. I believe that he was just or he said there was 57 states or whatever.
Yeah.
He just made a mistake. You're talking all the time. You're tired. You're doing this. Every word you're saying is being weighed. The press gives him a pass because they're like, okay, well, this is what you really meant, right? Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. They don't do that for Trump at all. Everything he says is weighed so heavily. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
It all goes in line with, as everybody calls it, the Trump derangement syndrome from, the minute he was elected. I mean, this was not what was planned at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
And 1 year, you remember I have said constantly, 1 year into it, why are they still hysterical about it? It's been a year. 2 years into it, why are they still hysterical? It's been 2 years. We're going into 3 years. That leads me to put the tinfoil hat on and say, all right, you guys had something planned for this country, something that the majority of the citizens would not like and would not support. But Trump got into office and thwarted your plans. So what have you guys done? You turned and did everything you possibly could to get rid of him out of the office. Why?
Resist, Diane. Resist.
That's what I want to know.
It's about break time, you guys.
We unfortunately need to go to a break, but when we come back, we will have our guest with us discussing the most crazy Monopoly new edition. I don't even understand it. So, okay, we'll be right back.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
All right. I believe.
And are we there?
Are we? Can you hear us? Well, anyways, hi everybody. We're running into a little bit of technical difficulty again, which I think might be me because it just seems to only happen when I'm on. Anyways, we're trying to get Brad Slager, aka Martini Shark, on to discuss his blog. Well, I can't even think right now. I'm totally brain dead.
Article.
He wrote a great article about monopoly for women, which give me a break. It's like, seriously, we get a handicap now for being a woman. How nice. So we were going to discuss that with him, but I think, Jody, you have the article that you wanted to read part of it since we seem to be having trouble getting him on.
Yeah, I don't know. Brad, can you hear me? Lou, why don't you see if he can hear you and he can describe it then? Otherwise,
He can't hear any of this.
Oh gosh darn it. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad.
I'm gonna try to cue him up to talk.
Okay, well Brad Slager wrote a great article yesterday for Red State. If you go to redstate.com, you can find it. So Hasbro basically came out with a new game, a new version of Monopoly that is going to address the patriarchy. It gives female privilege into the game.
I can't even. This is tough.
I know. It's called Ms. Monopoly, Ms. Monopoly. So the most notable change is that when a women pass go, they will receive a 20% increase over the male players, receiving not $200, but $240 each time they pass go.
Oh, wow.
First of all, my cousin Nancy she could do Monopoly as an Olympic event. Like she would always beat everybody. I basically always just handed her my money. I give up. Here's all the hotels, here's the money. So I just think it's insane that they feel like they needed to give women a handicap.
Seriously, this is going too far. It's we can do it on our own. I'm so tired of the people saying women are underprivileged, women don't make the same as men. I'm sorry, they do. There's
my
laws
gosh.
in place. If you don't make as much as a man, it's probably, and I hate to say it, and I'm sure women are going to kill me, the man is probably doing a little bit more work than you are.
Well, yeah, okay, you were on a school board. How many male teachers made more than their counterparts?
None.
I just was going to say, of course not.
It's a separate track. But however, I will tell you this, okay, that, and I always did say we always needed more testosterone in the schools because, you have a lot of teachers that are fantastic. There was something in the water at our school because literally we would have 5 to 6 teachers out on maternity leave.
Yes.
Constantly. And I was like, I'm not drinking that water, trust me. Factory is shut down. Anyways, but it's built in for the sick days, but it's so much more harder for a male teacher to get full paternity leave. It literally puts the teachers' unions, threatening, grievances and lawsuits to give male teachers the same rights as female teachers. So, we keep hearing, and I think that equation is taken out of the fact that, yes, women, we bear the children. We normally stay home with the children, for whether it's maternity leave for, 8 weeks, 12 weeks or whatnot. And we get that benefit of 9 out of 10 times it's mostly paid because you can use short-term disability. But men don't have that, and men just continually work. They might stay home with their kids if they can as much as possible. But, they're still working. They don't get a lot of the same benefits that female employees get. And I'm sure the feminists are going to come hunt me down. If you have anything to say, it's at DMB 1031. And I know my response is going to be.
Is Brad here now?
Yeah, Brad can hear you guys.
Brad. Wonderful,
How are we
Brad.
tonight, ladies? How is it?
So glad you're here. So Brad, we're just going to give you the floor and you go ahead and let us know about these new rules.
Okay, well, first mistake, but I'll grant you that. Now, basically what I covered, it was yesterday. It came out with the news that there's a new version of Monopoly they're calling Ms. Monopoly, MS period, and it's going to be entirely female centric because they're going to fix all the problems with the game that weren't there, apparently. They have new rules that are apparently going to adjust or address even the social inequity that in the marketplace for women and salaries. So now, when you play the game, anytime you pass go, you get $200. Unless you're a female, you're going to get $240.
Well, right, because,
And this
I'm
is
a
going
girl.
to
New pair of shoes. No, I'm kidding.
It's because
But
we're
apparently,
pretty.
this was, to go after the so-called payroll inequity in the marketplace. However, in the game of Monopoly, everybody gets paid the same. There is no inequities. So
Right, right.
they're fixing a problem that wasn't there, but they're completely going to, I guess, social posture with these new rules. On top of that, also, you're not going to be purchasing properties any longer. You're going to
what do you
buy
purchase?
you're buying into female inventions and female businesses.
Okay, so what do you get instead of a hotel, Brad?
Well, I got to plead some ignorance here because I haven't played the game and don't anticipate to either. But
Oh, you know you want to play.
Can a man even buy this game?
yeah, I think it's.
Well, I don't know. With all the beta males out there, they'll probably like it. Sorry.
I tell you honestly, this is going to be like a great Secret Santa gift to give this Christmas. Just to put the screws to somebody you don't like.
Well, I will tell you right now, we have the cheerleading Monopoly version that they also have because my daughter is a cheerleader. And it is so ridiculous. I think Monopoly, I can't imagine they're making a lot of money on these fringe games.
They're not going to release these kind of sales figures, obviously. And they do this, for sports teams. They do it for movies and things of this nature. But this is really kind of going above and beyond normalcy. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny that they're centering things on female businesses because that brought to mind that female-run bakery, recall about a year or two ago, national, international news where they were going to charge men more money to address the patriarchy. And this was banner headlines across the globe. And then the business promptly went out of business as a result of the smart marketing plan. So by all means, let's involve this in the Monopoly game.
Well, here's the thing, right? Most women usually are on diets and watch their weight at some point in their lives, where most men could care less. I'll have a cupcake, not a problem.
Well, I disagree with that. I care quite a bit what your weights are.
Yes. Well, I will say this. I think you are spot on that they will not be releasing these sales figures.
Yeah, exactly.
It is absolutely, it's basically to me the soft bigotry of low expectations. We don't really think women can do as well. So we're just going to give them this little,
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You're supposedly empowering women by giving them a boost up and giving them an unnatural advantage in the game. So if they win, everybody's going to be saying, well, of course you won. You got more money every time. And, then that's creating a problem between the genders that didn't really exist. Because the game was gender neutral. You're a shoe. You're a horse. It doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
How much money doesn't
exactly.
Character.
Exactly.
But I think I've got a perfect fix for this whole thing because they're injecting social activism into the game. So I would say as a guy playing the game, I'm going to do the same thing. So as I'm playing, I'll just self-identify as a female and I'll get $240.
Yep.
That is, and you know what? It is your right to do that. Exactly. So Brad, where can we find this article and where can everybody find you?
I printed this up yesterday over at redstate.com and you could probably inject my name in the search window there and it'll come up. It was one of my last couple of articles, so it should be easy to find. The board game itself is right there front and center on the article.
So mental note, after the Christmas sales season, we do need to sit there and send a note to Hasbro to find out what their total sales were for this particular game.
Yeah, let me know when that comes through. I'm dying to find out. I'm relatively certain they won't if I call up for sure. So you ladies might have.
Well, Brad, where can everybody find you on Twitter?
At Twitter, you'll find me at Martini Shark.
And you also do a show for KLRN.
I do indeed. Actually, I do 2 shows, but I do one night, if that makes sense. I flip every other week. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on with Ordy Packard. We do a show called The Culture Shift, where we talk about anything and everything involving entertainment and try to veer from politics if possible. And then the following week, I come on with another entertainment writer, Paul Young, and we go over bad movies, bad Hollywood, bad releases, anything on the bad side of Hollywood, because that's our twisted mentality. We call that disasters in the making, and we cover pretty much garbage movies that we happen to love.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Love being on, and good luck with the incoming news on the show. Pretty exciting stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, ladies. Have a night.
You too.
Thanks, Brad.
I'm so glad we could finally get him on. I apologize for whatever was going on there. I blame the hurricanes.
I know it's Trump's fault. Everybody blames Trump for everything else, but we wanted to also, as many of you were aware, our new red wine, which is coming out. So we were thrilled to have Lou, who's with us tonight, and who also produces the show, joining us, as well as Stacy Lennox, and she's on Twitter as @ScottsFire, FYRE. We also have Sam Janney, Politibunny, joining us, and
Twitchy.
J.R. Olmsted, Jen, who's on a couple of shows, right? I think on KLRN.
Yeah.
Will be joining us to become the new and improved red wine. What we're hoping to do with this is there'll be rotating co-hosts, a variety of topics, variety of presentation, because we all presented a lot different. And it's a very exciting time for us. I'm sure you like our new logo, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. If you guys could see it, if you go on Twitter, you can go to The Red Wine Show. Make sure you put the in there. The Red Wine, W-H, or W, I can spell. Red, W-H-I-N-E. Instead of wine, it's like whining. Get it? So you can find that on Twitter, and you'll see our new picture of everybody sitting, everybody's little Bitmoji sitting on the red sofa with wine. It's awesome.
I've been obsessed with that red sofa for like so long.
I know. What's great about this? Well, what's great about this, and you guys all know, I just went through, my daughter being in the hospital, and then I had my little nerve tumor cancer scare thing, and I was out because I had surgery, and which that's all fine, by the way, but still, it just took a lot of time off, and with everything going on, we just thought, it's a disservice to everybody out there to constantly having to, mess around with getting different people in here or there. So let's just make it a bigger,
exactly.
We have more fish.
So
Big
some
fish.
weeks you'll have, Jody and Stacy, or Jody and Politibunny, or Sam, and sometimes you'll have myself and Jen, and Lou will always be on.
Yes. Yeah, Lou's the producer. So it's really Lou's show.
So we're just gonna present different views, especially with this upcoming election cycle coming up. We know it's going to get pretty rowdy out there, and who better to talk about it, dissect it, than us crazy ladies who don't take any crap from anybody.
Oh, exactly. And Jen writes also for Misfits.
Yes.
And Stacy writes for Ricochet. Sam writes for Twitchy. You're going to get really some interesting stuff. Lou, of course, has her cyber podcast stuff. She really can tell you everything there is to know about terrorism and what's going on with all of the behind the scenes
cyber stuff.
Don't oversell me. Don't.
Cyber stuff.
Don't oversell me.
This is why they just give Diane and I a glass of wine and tell us to stop sit in the background
and then they'll have you and me.
I know. They'll just pat us on the head. Oh, okay, honey.
However, we do have a really big announcement, and we hope everybody is going to join us next Wednesday night. We will be speaking with Andrew Pollock, whose daughter Meadow died at the Parkland High School in that tragedy that happened down there. He just released his new book. It's Why Meadow Died. I'm paraphrasing. I'm really interested in reading it. Very interested in talking to him about it. As being on the school board for 14 years, I'm very familiar with a lot of the policies that he's going to be discussing.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be a very intense show. It's going to be a very interesting show. He wants to get information out to parents with kids in high schools, what questions they should be asking their schools, what policies they have in place, what sort of, equipment or technology that can be put into high schools that can, help pinpoint when something like this happens. And, it's going to be a very hard show, I'm sure. We've dealt with the very hard shows before when we had Pat Smith, whose son died, and Sean Smith died in Benghazi. We could cry. We've done it before on air.
Oh, yeah. That was hard.
It was very hard. And I think this is going to probably be one of our hardest shows that we're going to be doing. But it's something that has to be talked about. So he's going to probably be coming on, I believe, I want to say 10 past 9. I'm not sure. We'll confirm that time with him. But it's going to be
this reminds me, Diane, it is 9/11, and it is Benghazi's anniversary, too. And you and I, that Pat Smith interview, we'll have to go on the show, and we'll have to find the old... It's on our Twitter. If you go way, way back, you can find it. But we'll try to find it and repost the link to Pat Smith. That was,
heart-wrenching.
Oh, God, heart-wrenching, because her son died. And basically, Hillary wouldn't deal with her at all. And it was just so sad to hear this mom who had lost her son, who waited hours, was told by a Hillary aide she'd get to talk to her, waited so long, and then Hillary blew her off. But
don't forget, too, Hillary leaned over her son's casket and said, we'll get the guy who made this video, knowing because the emails that got released showed her talking to Chelsea the night before, stating that it was a terrorist attack. So they knew. But the worst part of it is when she started asking questions, all of a sudden the State Department said, we don't consider you an immediate relative. This was her only child. She was his mother, and she's not considered an immediate relative. I was beside myself.
Yeah, this is a lesson.
That's one reason why Hillary Clinton is a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, that's why I said, Diane and I said after that interview talking to her, it was horrible. She had looked her in the eye before and said it was because of a video, which we all know was a lie. And then she turned around and just dissed that old lady. I thought, oh, my God. It was heart-wrenching. So,
but we can thank Michael Ingmeyer, who's also has been on our show a few times, for being relentless in getting to the truth, because she's his aunt by marriage, and Sean Smith was his cousin by marriage, and he writes for Chicks on the Right, I think they're called. But he was relentless. He was on Fox. He would speak out, and they hated him for that.
Oh, yeah, he was with Trey Gowdy all the time, and he got pretty upset with Trey Gowdy because after all of the hearings, they basically had to drop it. And not that Trey Gowdy was happy with how that all went down, but I think that they almost found out there were so many people involved in that screw up that to open it up and not just let it drop was just going to be a mess. And I think that's a shame, because I think we had good people die over a bunch of bureaucracy mistakes.
Absolutely, and we won't ever forget Benghazi as well. And no, she'll pay for that, whether she pays for it, when all of her emails comes out, or she pays for it when she tries to go through the pearly gates and they send her straight down to hell. Either way, it's fine with me.
Oh, yeah. And so, if you guys ever have an opportunity to read any articles where Pat Smith is being interviewed or listen to when we interviewed her, it's just reminds you of what a piece of you-know-what Hillary Clinton is. So, it's just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. Plus, that movie, everybody should watch that movie. That's so well done.
Absolutely.
So I just think, man, that's another horrible 9/11. And let's just hope and pray nothing happens anywhere in the world today on 9/11. And, we don't have to worry about another terrorist attack or another loss.
And I think, too, before we forget that, I believe Brad, Martini Shark, will be joining us next week as well, when we have Andrew on the show, because he, living fairly close to him, I think he has a couple of questions he wanted to ask as well, I believe. Am I right?
Right. And if we can get it to work.
Yes.
It could just be that Brad is texting us and we're saying to him, okay, Brad wants to know this.
If anybody's friends with Todd Starnes, hook me up with him, because I want to get him on our show as well. I want to talk with him about his domestic jihadi book that he wrote. Unpublished, so that's probably not the name of the title. However, he's basically discussing, our conversation that we had with Raheem Kassam a few years ago. He's talking basically about how the left is hijacking America.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. It's in a great book. You should all read it. Plus, you should also get when Meadow died, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I believe
me and my memory. Yeah.
I got the same memory. However, it's by Andrew Pollack. It just came out. I will tell you.
I believe it's When Meadow Died. I believe
The foreword was written by Hunter Pollack, who was Meadow's brother, and it is heart-wrenching. Absolutely heart-wrenching. Very well spoken. And that's just the very beginning. I just downloaded it yesterday. I'm going to be reading that over the next few days. I could already tell just by reading it, it's going to be a really tough read, but people need to hear it. We need to talk.
And hear his perspective, because so many of the other people that were there that day have gone out, and they have they've really gotten a lot of attention in the press because they are anti-gun. Right. So therefore they're getting a lot of the oxygen in that story. So let's hope that once this book comes out, it'll have a national input, and he will get his word out all over the place.
Say good night, ladies.
Good night, ladies. Lou just told us to say good night, ladies. I don't know if the rest of you could see that or hear that. So we are very glad you could join us. You can find me at APL Mom on Twitter.
You can find me at ADMB1031 on Twitter.
And we appreciate you guys coming here, and we hope that you never forget when it comes to 9/11.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Ain't no stop for me. Shadow